Hey folks, welcome to episode 33 of the Mile 20 podcast where epic shit happens. I am Laura in Pennsylvania and I am here with my bestie, Lori, who is in France.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. I
Well,
uh, I just I
hey.
just uh I just came back to the US yesterday after 20 hours of travel, and Lori is still in France with her hubby, and you are there for how long, my friend?
I'm here for the month of September. We're having
Yeah.
a very lovely, what I'm calling our Nestor moon. Ella has gone off to Penn State, and Dave and I are now reconnecting, which is going to be very exciting, especially more after like Maggie and Connor might leave tomorrow. So,
Yes, that'll be really nice, right? And yeah, it's really really cool that you guys are doing that, and I am super excited that at least like between myself and Jim and our daughter Maddie got a chance to kind of tag along in the France trip. We definitely had some quite the merriment, but this episode today we're focusing on part of our trip to France, and this is actually going to be our account of our experience at Camp Château. So last episode, we got the opportunity to talk to the CEO, Philippa Gerling, who
it was
founded the,
amazing.
right? Yes, it was an amazing. I mean, Lori, we could have sat and talked to her for a couple hours, right?
Couple hours. If we didn't have like something, an activity we were signed up for, I was ready to keep on going.
I totally,
She was
totally agree.
wonderful. Yeah.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So, we mentioned in that episode that, this one we're going to talk about what our experiences were as the actual campers and, what our impressions were of the camp. So, before we dive into all of that, Lori, what is your mile 20 beverage of the night? Because I know it's like 10 o'clock your time or 10:30 your time. It's like 4:30 my time. We're about 6 hours difference. So this is going to be fun the next couple weeks while you're in France doing this.
Yes. Um, I have been having a little bit of wine from Bergerac. Um,
Nice. How
yes,
is it?
it is. Well, it's very good, but there's been an epiphany that has happened, and I don't want to dive too much because next week we will get into the Marathon du Médoc.
Yes.
We were in Bordeaux and we drank some Bordeaux-ish wines, but we started with
Bordeauxish, Bordeauxish wines.
yes, like Pauillac and Saint
Yeah.
Emilion, like all that area of wines. But we had started with Bergerac, and then we went and did the marathon, and then we came back. And now I've realized I can taste the difference between the two wines.
Ah, there you go.
And I definitely have a preference for the Bordeaux-ish wines, but I'm having a lovely Bergerac red. I have no idea where it's from.
Yeah, I tell you what, the red wine in France is absolutely fantastic.
It's amazing. And you go to the grocery store here, and it's like €3. It's like $5 for a fabulous bottle of wine. If
I
you
know. I know. And if we tried to go and order the wine and ship it to the United States, like the shipping fees were more than the wine total.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Absolutely.
So,
What
yeah, yeah.
what about you, Laura Lee? What are you having this evening?
I'm drinking water. And because I feel like I left my liver in France, and so it just needs to stay over there. And as I told you earlier, I've been fasting all day long as well. So kind of like I got on the scale this morning, and I was happy because I think I shared with you, only gained 2 pounds from the whole time. I think I told Jim that this morning, and he said I think it's because you weren't eating in Bordeaux.
Maybe, perhaps.
But no, just kind of, any kind of like post vacation, just trying to go and get, back into the swing of things and, get the couple extra pounds of vacation off of me. So I'm doing water tonight. But if I was probably sitting next to you, I probably would be partaking in another glass of French red wine because, oh, yum.
Yes, and I'm sure you're gonna have to put me into AA probably immediately upon my return because
No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
oh,
You'll
I
probably
hope
just be
so.
craving those French wines, and then you're gonna go to Total Wine here in Pennsylvania or like Delaware, and you're gonna be like, "What? That same bottle of wine is like $60."
Yeah, but it's not the same on stateside. I
It's
don't
not.
understand. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if they do something to the wine to keep it preserved, but it is not the same wine. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's not. I totally agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. There's just something about it. And you and I also got into the rosés as well at
Yeah.
camp. At
Mm,
camp.
yeah.
Because that's not a wine that you and I usually partake in.
No.
So all right, we ready to go and kind of dive into the camp experience?
Let's do it because it was memorable, magical, and absolutely amazing.
I totally agree. So, can you give everybody because I know that you got into the camp, the registration process before I did. So how did this whole thing kind of come about?
Well, it was kind of an interesting story. So there was of course, you guys have all heard that DJ swam for the University of Delaware because we've mentioned it before in previous episodes. And the whole mom posse that surrounds the University of Delaware, and in particular the men's swim team, there are some of the women parents, that kind of are involved, but for some reason, the men's team parents really were always out in full force. One of the parents was like, "Hey, so I have some friends from Florida that are signing up for this women's summer camp in a French chateau." And I'm like, "Well, that sounds pretty cool." But I haven't hawed, and I'm like, "No, maybe, maybe not." And I was a little nervous because Ella was going off to college about timing. And
Right.
all of a sudden, like I started getting text messages from other moms that were like, "Oh, I signed up. I signed up. I'm in. I've signed up. I've put down the deposit." And I'm like, I looked at Dave and I'm like, "Holy crap, like they're all going." I'm like, "Should I go? I mean, I don't know. I think it'll work out. I'm not sure." And Dave's like, "Babe, you should go. Like, it'd be good. You should go." So I signed up. And then I called you and
Yeah.
it was like, "Laura, dude, like it's a summer camp, so it's open to anybody. It's a public thing. So it's not like a University of Delaware swim mom thing.
Right.
And for everybody, I'm like, you should look into this." And then,
Yeah, and so I got it and I got the link and I looked, up the stuff that they had on their website. I'm like, this looks really cool. Like never been to that part of France before. And the activities looked really neat, the way that they kind of teed it up, the fact that, you were going with, several other women that, you had shared about your experiences with them, right, through the University of Delaware, and they seemed like a really like lively crew, and really really nice ladies, and would fit in really nicely with them, and so forth. So I'm like, okay, cool, like well, like I'm interested, and I'm always along for the ride, the crazy ride, right?
yeah, of course.
So, and so like I had the link and the registration was still open and I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll register, in a week or two. Well, like 3 weeks passed by and I finally like cuz me and my to-do list.
Yep,
I
of course.
had it on my to-do list to make sure that like, no later than X date, register for the camp. And I go to register and it's freaking not only sold out for 2025, but it was sold out for 2026 as well. And I was like, what the heck happened? And I got between the time when you sent me the link and then when I went to go actually register, that's when, on based upon our conversation with Philippa, like there was a viral, Instagram, post that happened that had what is it like 26 million views on it.
Yeah, it's
And all
incredible.
of a sudden it just made this camp go viral. So that's when I went to go register after that. So, unfortunately what happened is one of the members of the crew that had registered, she had to go and back out. So you had found out about that and we were able to contact the camp and they were so accommodating to enable me to take that person's spot. So I feel kind of blessed and I feel like, you know, terrible under the circumstances that somebody else who had intended to go couldn't go. But I just feel blessed that I was able to take the spot, and I just had this absolutely, like you said, magical, kind of like life-changing experience going to Camp Chateau. I would tee that up to say like it was life-changing
And I don't think it was just life changing for you, but it was life changing for many because
for many.
we watched it happen throughout the week, and it was incredible to see the impact that such a simple, it feels like such a simple thing has on so many women. And it's really a shame that there isn't more access to something like this, just in general.
I totally agree. And I think during our conversation with Philippa, the one thing that, she really stressed was that this camp is not about, oh, we're going to deep analyze you and you're going to focus on these one or two things throughout the week to make yourself better because you suck or you have to be more like X. It was not about that. It was really about, look, come here and make this experience the way you want to experience it. If you want to nap every day for like 3 hours, or sit by the pool, or, you want to immerse yourself in all these different activities and experience new things, it was basically like pick your own journey, right? So I think one of the first things we're going to talk about is just what's that day one. We hit the ground running. So we took from the girls that we did our Paris trip with, um, where we didn't get a lot of sleep the night before because that was like 2 episodes ago. So
Yes.
that was our little kind of little drunken episode.
Hooray. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So we drove. Oh my gosh, it was like 6+ hours, right, in a van, right? We
Yeah.
had a car service pick us up, and so we arrive at the chateau, and when we say a chateau, it's like a freaking castle,
Yes.
right?
The
And you
property is beautiful.
oh my gosh. So what was your first impression when we pulled up and got out of the van?
Well, I think like most people that follow on Instagram, there's just a lot of visuals you get
Yes,
immediately. Before you even get there, you kind of have this expectation of what you're going to see and experience because the Instagram, their whole social media, Megan does a fabulous job on
absolutely she does.
what she puts out. She does a really great job. But, you know, I guess I knew it was going to be beautiful, but it was warm and charming and welcoming. Because sometimes when you get into those older buildings, you're not really quite sure whether you're going to. Sometimes there's some weird energy with older buildings.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
agreed.
I think Philippa said that, like, really, you kind of feel like the chateau puts its arms around you.
Oh,
And
I loved that statement when she said that last week. I
yeah,
totally, I totally agree. I felt this elation, but also this sense of calm all at the same time.
yes, deep peace. Like, there was a sense of,
Like this
okay,
is gonna be a really good week. Like
yes,
really good week.
yes. But at the same time, like, I feel like I didn't want to overhype it in my brain. So I'm like, okay, so yeah, this is already starting to be cool. We got here.
Yes.
Thing looks exactly like you see it on Instagram. Like, this is the real deal. But then you're like, but is it real? And then you had to kind of start going through the week to understand that it is. It is a real thing.
It's a phenomenon. It's a
It's
phenomenon.
a phenomenon. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So when we got out of the van, the camp staff did an outstanding job. They all had name tags. They greeted us. Hey, put your bags over there. Don't worry about your bags. We're gonna get at those. Come on over here. They had, just a little bit of a formal process for us to, fill out some paperwork. They, registered us in. They had us just on day one put name tags on. We did not wear name tags for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
But it just kind of helped, with that day one experience because there were 50 women, on day one. So, putting faces with names, which became very easy. And I don't know about you, but sometimes, when I get into a setting like that, not like a camp setting, but a setting where there's like, a lot of people. It's like, shit, I like, oh, what was that person's name? I don't know why, but it was so easy putting people's names, with who they were and remembering them, and I think it's just because the conversations were super meaningful and
Yes.
I don't know, we all like were connecting on like really personal stuff and it
Yeah.
just, I don't know, it just really helped.
It really did. And I think the more you talk to people, you could also word associate and all of that. But yeah, the check-in process was seamless. Like it was so like it just flowed. We did paperwork, we did name tags. They gave us our room. Although we didn't see the room right away. They gave us a glass of champagne in your
Oh, a glass of champagne was the first thing we got.
yes, glass of champagne.
We were like, oh yeah, baby, here we go.
Yep. And then you're in this, and you're on, they call it, what is it, Oslin's table.
Yes.
So there's this big stone table that
This
was
big
there.
slab stone table.
Yes. And it's amongst was it the Hall of Trees, I think it's
Yes.
called
Yes.
maybe.
There's like a big row of trees.
It's just beautiful. Like it was beautiful to start. And luckily we arrived on a beautiful day that wasn't rainy. And then they start to take you around and just make you familiar. Like you take a little tour. So they
And
get you
we got our little chateaus.
chateaus. Yes.
Yes, they're these little totes that everyone gets, and they're very helpful throughout the week because you could throw your water bottle in there. Yo, Lori's got her. If you
For
join
those,
us on YouTube, you can see the
my
actual tote.
it's a little wrinkly, but I do have
Yeah.
the tote here.
Yeah, yeah, no, and so you got the tote. So they offered two different tours of the grounds, like of everything, kind of giving you like key areas of where certain activities, like if you see that, this activity is at Lions Gate, this is where this would be at, or this is where like the cooking classes are and so forth. So that way then, you had the opportunity to get oriented, you didn't feel lost on the grounds because it's a big piece of property. But I loved the fact that they gave us a tour of our room
Yep.
and they explained the process to us as well. And this is when, this is before we had the conversation with Philip, our interview with her. When we went into the room and they were explaining to us how, the beds are coordinated with, where our toiletry areas are and where our towels should be hung and so forth. I think I turned to you and I was like, this was organized by a woman.
Absolutely, yes. There's a little flower sticker on your bread that's a certain color that
Yes.
coordinates with your shower caddy, that coordinates with your towel hook in the bathroom, so that you knew exactly where
I
all
was
your
the orange
stuff.
flower. So my orange like carried all and the rooms I don't know about you, but having been in an army environment before, like I didn't have a lot of reservations about being in a room with a couple of other women. I think my biggest one was, okay, who's gonna be the person that snores?
Right.
Give you they give you eye patches, or eye like,
Earplugs.
earplugs, and they also give you like a nose strip so that if you are a snorer, like maybe that might help you out one night. And so I didn't have any reservations, and all of the people that were in our room were part of the Delaware, swim moms. So I didn't know, any of the women before we had gone to Paris, but I felt kind of really at ease when we went and bunked in our room because I'm like, oh, I know all these women, right? So, and our room was solid. We were in the Prince bedroom,
Love.
and our crew was solid. I enjoyed our room.
I enjoyed our room immensely, but we all kind of had the same cycle too. Like we were all kind of getting up at 6 a.m.
Yes.
Most of us were doing morning yoga, or you and I were running and they were doing yoga. Like we all just kind of flowed. We all hung out late into the evening. We'd come back, go to bed. Like it, yeah. We did a nice job.
We did, and I know that, and so this is one of those things that as people who are listening, if you have an interest in this, you have to be comfortable, right? Because there are no private rooms at Camp Chateau, and there were, at least we knew of like one other room where there were some people who wanted to kind of stay out later and but then they had reservations because other people in the room were going to sleep like much earlier than them, and they didn't want to wake people up and so forth. So it's a balance, right? And so it's just something that you really need to consider. I know that one of the girls that was with us said that she had invited her mom to go with her. So this was the two friends from Washington
Seattle.
State,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so the one girl had invited her mom, and her mom was like, "Yeah, I can't do that. I
Yeah.
just
But I
I
mean,
can't." Yeah.
we had five women in our room, which I think is kind of typical. I think it's like 5 to 6. And you
Yes.
are like all sharing an ensuite bathroom that
Yes,
has
one
like,
bathroom for 5 or 6 women. Yes.
and like, you're dressing and you're sharing,
Yeah.
you're in a twin bed and, with five other people. I don't know. Yeah, but I get it. I'm sure my mother would be the same way, but
My mom would too.
yeah, it's a shame because it was amazing, but
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So the one night, and I think it maybe was like the second night. So like, we're like now getting like really comfortable, into the environment. And I think either you or somebody else went and said, because it was like we are all in our PJs and stuff, and I think you went and said, it's like, oh God, I really feel like I'm at camp. So,
yeah,
or somebody said that. So next thing you know, you and I, because our beds were kind of like the ends of the beds were kind of facing each other. So next thing you know, we both like hop on our tummies with like our hands, under our chin, with our legs up, like flapping around, like, and you were like, so I met this boy. His name is Dave. I think I really love him. And I was like, oh my God, did you kiss him? So we're like kind of like mock, pretending we're at like little girl camp. And it was just kind of, I just got goosebumps thing. It just, I don't know, it just it put us in like this mode of like silliness and kind of going back to like the days of innocence and not having to worry about like all the bullshit like day to day of your life. And
yes,
I think that's for me was just I don't know, it was just that nice little cocoon ring that I felt was like put around me. And I was good girl because I did not check my work email not one single time. I stepped foot on the grounds of that camp and I went into like radio silence mode at work. And I think for me, it kept me in that mind space that I needed to be in.
yeah,
So I highly recommend too that, for, people who have, those external stressors, if you can, by all means, just stay out of the rest of life in general. I mean, we did go and call family and text family and so forth, but just kind of stay out of your work stuff if you can, because it definitely, I don't know, for me, it just preserved like that feeling that I wanted to get out of the camp.
yeah, agreed. I think that camp creates this sense of peace from the moment you step foot there, and they create, this all-inclusive space for you to be yourself and relax. And like you said, do what you want, don't do anything, whatever it is that you feel like you need.
Yeah.
That's what camp is there for. But agreed, like it's something that you should protect while you're there, 100%.
Agreed. Now, the sign up process for the activities, we both have just mentioned, it's kind of pick your own journey, right? Whatever your experience is that you want. So there was a sign up board. It kind of felt like college, when you're signing up for like, different activities, that you want to partake in. But they had a sign up board and they told every camper that on day one, because people were coming in at varying times throughout the day, and they didn't want, people who came earlier to, take all the slots for every activity and not have enough for those people maybe who were coming in at like 11 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
So they had each of us sign up for our top three activities to make sure that everybody got at least like three that they wanted. And then the next morning, after everybody had come in the night before, it was kind of like, I want to say it was like a free for all, like, like you sign up for whatever you want to as long as there are slots available. And most classes had like anywhere between like 8 to 12 slots in them, depending upon like what the activity was, right?
And they had multiple activities going on simultaneously. So
Yes.
it was plenty to cover the women that are there. It's just whether you got into the ones you wanted or not.
Absolutely. And they allowed some women to do like a standby, so that way if somebody changed their mind and didn't end up showing up to class, then it enabled, other women who maybe wanted to get the slot and they were on the wait list, to be able to go and get one of the positions. So there were three classes that you and I signed up for. Like we were just like, all right, with like hardcore, like we definitely want to do these. So horseback riding, kayaking, and what was the third one, Lori?
Mixology, of course.
Yeah, baby.
You know, it's just the way we roll.
Yeah, yeah. And the awesome thing about the kayaking and the horseback riding is that those activities were actually all three of our activities were off site. So the horseback riding, they drove us how long did we drove for a decent amount.
Yeah, I would
Maybe
say
like
it was about 30, 40 minutes, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah. And so there were what, maybe like eight of us, nine of
Yeah.
us that ended up going horseback riding. And it was an absolutely spectacular day. The horses were beautiful. The guide that brought us, through the trail, and we rode for what, about an hour.
Yeah.
Um,
It was
uh,
lovely.
yeah, and we got to see all these old stone walls and other horses in the pastures, and I don't know, there was something just really serene about horseback riding, and I hadn't been on a horse in quite a while. You had a beautiful horse that you rode.
Yeah, Blue just called to me from the moment we stepped foot on the property. Like we walked up and this
It was a
horse
beautiful horse.
looked right into my eyes and I'm like, "Yep, you're mine."
You're like, hello, lover.
Hello. Hello. You and I are going to be friends for the next hour.
Oh, yeah. So we did that, and the transportation to and from these activities, we had a driver, her name was Lulu, and it was Lulu, right? Yeah,
Or Lolo.
Lolo. No, my bad. It was
Lolo.
Lolo.
Yeah,
Lolo, and Lolo was super sweet.
she was.
And so she drove us to these activities, and the kayaking. Do you remember the name of the river that we kayaked on? Begin
Oh.
with a C. It was through Figeac. All right. Well, it was like
Mm-hmm.
this little tiny river, but that was really nice because again, we had a small group of people that went. We opted to go on a day, so of course, Lori and I with our weather, we're always in tune whether we're running, backpacking, something. I was like, okay, we knew that the weather wasn't going to be totally optimal the entire week we were there. There were going to be some, days with rain, thunder, lightning, and it was cooler too. It felt like the fall on a
Yeah.
couple of days that we were there. But we looked and we were like, okay, this one day is the sweet spot, when it comes to the weather. And lo and behold, it was a really, really nice day for kayaking.
It was perfect. I think we scheduled both the horseback riding and the kayaking on some of the best days that we had available. And there were some, I think it was like a rare day. I don't think they get a whole lot of rain and they certainly don't get a lot of thunderstorms that come through there. So they were definitely doing some adjusting for things. But they were so accommodating on trying to open up more space in the classes when they had to cancel one of the, excursions that people
Yeah.
wanted. I felt like they really tried their very best to make everybody happy and accommodate as many people as they could.
They did. They constantly flexed throughout the week. I
Yeah.
think that the staff did an outstanding job of gathering feedback and being receptive to it.
Yeah.
I didn't see, and because sometimes the feedback was given in like a public forum, right? Because they had times like at nighttime before dinner where the camp announcements. It was totally like camp, like
It's
camp
like, yeah, yeah,
announcements, right?
yeah.
Whether it was for activities for later on, that day, stuff that happened that day, or things that were happening, later on in the week, or things that they were, adjusting for. And, none of the staff ever got, defensive about it. They were like, hey, we'll look into that. We'll see, and we'll see what we can do. Again, I think going back to, Philippa's interview last week, where she's like, look, we're constantly looking how we can continue to improve, but make this the best experience possible, for the campers. I think that is definitely something that, that is true. They walked the talk, so to speak. So what was your favorite activity, or do you have like any activities where you're like, "Ah, I absolutely loved doing this one, and why?"
Ah, geez, that's so hard to do because
I know,
I,
because we both liked a lot of stuff we did.
I did like a lot of stuff we did.
Yeah.
I would say that, gosh, the yoga with Manon is fantastic. Um, I absolutely adored, of course, the kayaking and the
Yeah.
horseback riding, and that the things that we touched on that were our number one choices, of course. I loved the paint and sip, but
I
and
did not like paint and sip as much, and I don't know why, because I'm very artsy. I had fun with it, but I was like, I don't know, my product sucked ass.
well, I think you
Like,
got in your own head for how it should look, and the way it turned out wasn't your vision, but it
oh, well, I just started like kind of like putting like just paint on it. And you made me keep it because I
was
did it in
good.
Eagles green colors, and now I did get a little a little frame. I have like a little frame holder, so it's gonna go on our tailgating table.
Yes.
For tailgates. Now, the other thing that we did for tailgating is they had like this really cool like store. It was like the camp store, and you could buy like toiletries or like a couple souvenirs. And so they also had this like cabinet full of like antiques, and they have these beautiful like water goblet kind of, or wine. They're not going to be water goblets. They're going to be like liquor goblets. But
Yes.
we got two of them, so that way we can go and bring them to Eagles tailgates, and
Yeah.
be camp bougie at the Eagles tailgate. So I'll have my little paint and sip, at the tailgates, as well as our little bougie glasses. So I am finding out a way to go and transport those without breaking them every game. So more to come on that one, Lori. Um,
There
my
you go. Because I'm
my
like, dude, this is the most impractical thing
I
to
know.
buy.
And then traveling back with it yesterday, like on the plane and stuff, I was like, oh my God, I can't break my goblet.
Well, I'm sure, to say the least. I'm gonna have to worry about that in a couple weeks.
Yes, yes, yes. I wrapped it in a lot of stuff. But my favorite activity, and I think this one was kind of unexpected for me, was the sound bath yoga meditation. And so we had an instructor. So we were all, because it was raining that day, and we were up in the attic of the chateau, which might sound a little creepy, but it was so cool because when you were laying on your yoga mat, and you looked up at the ceiling, and you just saw these like old rafters and the roof, and the stone walls, on all four sides of the room. It just created this like ambiance, and she had like this low lighting. There were no ceiling lights. It was just all like low lighting,
It
and
just felt very
oh,
earthy.
it
I
felt
felt like
so
you
earthy.
had wood and stone, and it was old. It just, yeah, it
Oh
created
my gosh.
that peaceful,
Be
earthy, grounding feeling.
Yeah, and so I had done, and I think I mentioned this like a bunch of episodes ago, where Maddie had me do a sound bowl yoga class. But that class was and that was here in Pennsylvania, and that was really focusing on more of like the crystal bowls, bowls bowls. I'm not sure if
Oh,
that's coming through on my microphone, but so the different sounds and tones of using just that as an instrument, whereas in this class that we took, it was different instruments, and she played a drum from Peru, and actually sung for a period of time. And there was one point where I felt like there was an instrument that she played where I felt like my feet were vibrating. And the whole
yeah.
time, the focus was not on falling asleep, but just really like focusing on your breathing and just kind of being present. And she asked all of us, before we started the class, what our intention was. And it was so interesting, just all the women that were in there and all the different things that, everyone was trying to get out of it. And I don't know. There was just something about that class that like I just felt like a ball of mush after that class. In a really really good way.
Yeah, it was definitely a great class.
Yeah, yeah. Now the one fun thing that you get after you do various activities is you get patches. So I bet you have your patches for those joining on YouTube. You got some patches to show people on YouTube. So if people
Of
are,
course, I have my
of
patches.
course.
I have
Yes.
my hammock hog, my sound. There's my sound one. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so when you do the different activities, you get a patch, and the intention there is that you can take the patches and actually sew them onto your camp bag. So that is actually something I am going to do on Saturday. I'm going to actually sit and for those who are not on YouTube, Lori is just keeps flashing all the badges.
I
In fact,
only have, 15 or so. Wine
and
tasting.
yeah, and the thing is that this it isn't a competition to try to get the most badges. What was that one, Lori?
That was the labyrinth.
Oh, the labyrinth. Yes. They stress, look, this isn't about doing a competition to see who can get the most badges. I mean, people who took naps got badges, right? I mean, it was kind of cool. It was like just really celebrating the fact that you're doing something that brings you joy and that you did something consciously, right? But it was funny. Like, so our friend Alyssa, so I'm giving Alyssa a little bit of a shout out. Like Alyssa at the end, she's like, it was almost like, yay, I got all the badges.
Yeah, I'm
She was like,
curious to
she
know
was
if
like
she
all over camp, man.
question is, did she miss any of the badges? I don't know if she missed any. I have
I
no idea.
don't know. I don't know. Maybe Alyssa will have to go and comment on our podcast here to go and see whether or not. Did you miss any, Alyssa? Did you?
Did
Did
you?
you?
Did you?
She was all over freaking camp. I was like, what did you not do?
She swam. There was no day in which swimming was conducive at all at
No,
camp.
she's like, oh, I swam this morning. I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
She got the swimming badge or the pool badge.
Yeah, yeah. So before we start talking about, more of like the culture of the camp, I would love to touch on the food and drink of the camp because sometimes that's a concern, right? You go to a place where you're like, all right, I'm going to France. I'm
It's
not
all
sure,
inclusive.
right? Not sure whether or not the food is going to be good. They did say in the nomenclature, on the website, like, that one I think on one of the sites it said like one glass of wine, with lunch and dinner, and I was like, oh man, like I'm that's going to be rough. Tell everybody about like your experience with the food and drink.
So I would say the food, the mornings is a very typical French morning breakfast.
Agreed.
Croissants, baguettes, ham, cheese, maybe a little bit of fruits, tea,
Jellies,
jellies, butter,
eggs.
all of that, honey, delicious, simple, easy French breakfast.
It's the same every morning.
Yeah, it's the same every morning.
Yes.
Exactly what you pain au chocolat if you're into that, because I am croissants, all that kind of thing. And then lunch is kind of cool because we had a slightly different experience because we were there with a group of 11 women and
Right.
we were all kind of in two different rooms. So we kind of got bunked up together because they knew we were together. But lunch is generally like a picnic basket where you're assigned to a different bunk and you guys kind of mingle for lunch and you find like a place to go picnic on the property. Unfortunately, we had some bad weather days, so our
Yeah.
picnics were like wherever we could find space within the chateau or on the grounds that was under cover. But that was kind of different every day, like salads, and was there like a risotto one day or it was just different things, but baguettes, the normal kind of typical French lunch, and then
With wine.
with rosé. Yeah, we would always have a carafe or two of rosé with our lunches.
And sometimes with lemonade and water, but yes,
Always
always
something else.
always a carafe of rosé.
craft or rosé, and then there would be like blueberry flavored water or lemonade or tea. Like there's
Yes.
always something
So
else.
it accommodated everyone depending upon whether you wanted to go and drink at noon or not.
Yeah, sure. And then like usually around 6:15, 6 o'clock, there would be an aperitif where there would be more wine being provided, prior to dinner with like little breadsticks or olives and stuff that you could partake in. And
And
sometimes
they
there
had and they sometimes they had live music playing
well,
during the aperitif hour.
3 of the days we
Yeah,
had like
3 of the days we did. Yes.
yeah, we had a wine tasting one time during the aperitif, which was
That was fun.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And that was a beautiful day too. It was like one of the rare nights where it was nice and sunny, had a beautiful view of the valley in Lot, which is the area that the castle or the chateau is located in. So it's very very high up in the valley and just absolutely fantastic views of the valley from the chateau.
Oh yeah, the sunsets were spot on, spot on. Sunrise and sunsets, spot on. And then dinners. The oh my God, our chef was adorable. I wish I remembered her name. I did not, but she is so adorable, and she comes out every night and she announces exactly what you're gonna have for dinner. And
Yes.
I mean, yes, the dinners were amazing. But you should probably talk about how they accommodated your gluten allergy because I felt like they were really accommodating for those that had special needs as far as food goes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what was fantastic was right out of the gate at registration, they had because in the registration process you have to indicate whether or not you have food allergies, and I indicated that I have celiac. So when I registered, or when we did the registration, when we landed on property, the one thing that I was told is that I would have a little flag designator that I would pick up, and they said like mine was going to be a yellow square with a black dot in the middle of it. So each of us that had food allergies had a different color piece of paper with like a different symbol in the middle of it, or maybe a number. And so, no, actually, they were all symbols. There were no numbers. I lied about that. But which was great because in the beginning of every dinner and every lunch, I would go and grab my little flag and put it in front of my place setting. And then they would have a staff member go around and find everybody who had each of the different food allergies, know where we were sitting. So that way, then when they were bringing out the meal specific, say to like our friend Sarah, who had a nut allergy. I mean, she was allergic to like every kind of nut imaginable, right?
Yeah.
That they brought her out a nut-free meal. For me, they brought me out, a gluten-free meal. Now, some of the meals for dinner or for lunch, they was maybe just the side dish they had to bring out special, and then they indicated that everything else on the table I could go and eat, which was great. And then they brought us out like special baskets of bread. Now, the one thing going back to how the staff went and adjusted things along the way. There was one camper who, like me, has celiac. Now, I'm usually okay if there's like mild cross contamination, but again, there's varying degrees of people's allergies. I mean, some people can go into anaphylactic shock, right, with getting exposure to things. So one of the girls had indicated that she was very anxious about how the food was being served, at this, that it was like the first group lunch that we had, and that, the bread could contaminate the food that was on the buffet line. The staff went and adjusted like immediately, like
Oh yeah.
during that session. It was like, hey, everybody who has like celiacs, a gluten allergy, you guys go through first, so that way then the bread, doesn't contaminate the line. The following morning, our breakfast food was totally separated out. So that way then, because like there are people who don't understand. If I take a knife and I cut into a loaf of bread, that is regular bread, and then I put it next to the bread for the celiac folks. And if that knife goes into the other bread, like people could get like violently sick with that
Yeah.
cross contamination.
Or with the butter, like I'm going to take this butter and put it on my glutinous bread, and then you're going to pick it up and use that same butter knife to put onto your gluten.
Regular bread. Yes.
That
Yes.
alone can cause some people to be set off.
Yes. And so again, the staff responded just so quickly and with just a lot of care, put into it, which is great because then that's probably a practice that they will continue, going forward. And I give a shout out. I think her name was Jennifer, just for really like self advocating for herself, right, and for the rest of us, because me, I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to be like the cog in the wheel and so forth." And it made me kind of take a step back going, wow, I really need to advocate for myself more because you've seen me when I've had a reaction to something with gluten in it, and I get really sick.
Yeah.
And so it made me kind of take a step back and say, yeah, I do need to not be like the dick in the room, but like advocate for myself and just make sure that my food is safe. So
Exactly.
I don't know. I just thought that was really cool that the staff responded. And so in the mornings and at lunchtime, all of our stuff were like totally separated out from everybody else's. So I felt a little special. And then it was kind of nice because those of us who had celiac, we all kind of like at one point in time, like we all kind of like commiserated with each other and like, it was kind of cool. But the food was fabulous. The food was absolutely fabulous. So I didn't feel like, because I have a food allergy that the staff like or the cooks kind of shortchanged us and gave us like crappy meals. Like I felt like we feasted like queens during
Oh,
the week.
absolutely. And then there were times, just to touch on the wine, just a
Oh
bit,
God, the wine,
the wine.
the
So,
wine.
we were with a group of ladies. We like to drink our wine. We do. We do.
We do, we
We're
do.
enjoying our wine. And then like after dinner, you would notice that like another table maybe didn't touch their wine very much, right? So there was one night we were all planning kind of to, talk to each other for a little bit. So like I grabbed one of the wines off of the other tables, and I was saying something like I was kind of looking at one of the people that worked there and was kind of cleaning up the dining hall a little bit, and he was like, if you need more, let me know. And he's like, there's endless wine. You
He
need
said it's
wine.
infinite, and we were like, what?
I'm like, do you know what you're saying to
do
me?
we do we know what you just said?
Do you know who you're talking to? Apparently not. But he was like, yeah, if you ever, at the end of lunch, if you want another carafe of wine, all you have to do is ask. If you want more wine after dinner, you want wine before dinner.
Oh, and
Whenever you
then that
want wine.
that that just opened the floodgates for our group.
Oh yeah, we're like, all right, we don't have to keep it to the one carafe at dinner. Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. There's no longer a need to ration people.
No, no, there's no more rationing after that.
And the wine was great. We don't know what type of wine, they were serving as the house wines, the house rosé, the white or the red.
And I'm
But
pretty sure it
they
was local. They were,
yes, yes, definitely local. But the other cool thing was that they had the ability, like they had a bunch of different wine bottles. So if you wanted to buy a specific wine, you could also go and purchase a bottle of wine if you didn't want to go and have the house wines. So I thought that was a cool option as well. And then we had dessert. We had dessert every meal as well, and then like a little bit of like I want to say like a starter. So it was like a three-course meal every night.
yes, it was. I mean, yeah, it was top notch.
Yeah.
Like they had it down. I wish there was more chocolate in the desserts, but I'm like that though. Like I'm a chocolate girl. Like I don't love a lot of fruit in desserts, but I do understand that the French do. So I understand. It was delicious.
Yeah.
Just wasn't
Yeah.
my thing, but it was
Yeah. I mean the desserts were good. I don't know. And again, they weren't like my favorite things. But again, they were very French. So, I tasted every single one of them. And you know me, I'm not a picky eater, but it was like, yeah, that was good. It just, to me, it wasn't like maybe some of my favorite things, but I have one night where I think we had chocolate mousse
Oh,
and
the
like a
yes.
girl, I got a picture of Lori freaking like licking this spoon. Like
I
if
would
she,
have I would have put my face in the bowl if it was socially acceptable for the
yes, yes,
100%.
yes,
I'm like,
yes,
finally, chocolate. Thank you.
yes. Yeah, you were a very, very happy camper that night.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. So let's talk about the culture of the camp.
Well, this is
Um,
where the real magic happens. Like
yeah,
you can have great food, you can have great wine, but can you put 50 women of different races, ages, abilities, I don't know what I'm missing, religions, I don't know, all
countries. Yeah,
countries, like all the diversity that 50 women can bring and find a way to create a space where every single woman feels safe to not only talk about their journeys, but to talk common threads and common experiences, giving each other wisdom. Young people talking to older people talking to middle-aged people. I don't know. I don't know how they do it. I feel a little bit like we didn't we weren't able to experience the full thing because we were 11 women strong as a group already.
agreed.
But I was able to watch what was going on around us with a lot of this. There were tons of people there, solo travelers
Yeah,
in there who left their husbands in Paris or their plus ones in other places doing other things. And they were just there by themselves. And watching all the women bond and they created after the fact there was a WhatsApp chat that I'm watching even still today, and
I
we've
know.
we've been out of camp for over a week now, and everybody from our particular week is still talking to each other and talking about their experiences. And it's I don't I still to this day, like, I don't know how they created this culture of complete acceptance, non-judgment. We were all there together
Yeah.
on equal footing with each other. Young, old, black, white, you know.
You know what I think? Because I've been thinking about this for a couple of days now, and especially as I was flying back yesterday, and I'm like, what made that week? Like, because like I've been in the corporate world for 30 years, 30 plus years, and I've been to so many different retreats and find your soul sessions. And I think for this, what made it so different was like you just need to do stuff that brings you joy. And I think when you are a happy person and you're finding joy, and you could be happy just napping, or I mean, there were girls who were like laying on the big couches with blankets on them and just reading a book.
Yeah,
Right. And if that's something that brings you joy, and when you have joy in your life, you personify that joy to other people and how you connect with others.
yeah.
And I think the staff, because they came in with just this, I don't know, this fantastic energy.
Like you are taken care of.
You were
No
taken
matter
care
what,
of.
you're taken care of. Whatever it is you need, we will figure it out. You will be taken care of.
You focus on just enjoying yourself, taking in this fairy tale, chateau with all of these old antiques. I mean, some of the stuff that was in that building, Lori. Like I've been reading they had a book. They have a couple books in their store. I bought all three of them, and I've been reading the one of the history of the chateau during World War II. I was reading that in the airport yesterday. Oh my God, I'm almost done with the book. Absolutely fascinating how the all of the furniture came about in the chateau by the woman Jean, who went and bought it in like the 1930s. And at that point in time, the chateau was kind of like in a lot of disrepair. It really, really needed a lot of work. It didn't have a lot of furniture. She went out and and you think about the timeline, right? Like that's like you know, like right at the cusp of, World War II. She was going
Wasn't
out and like
she
buying
was
furniture and stuff and antiques. Like, and it's like, and like our idea of antiquing is like, oh, let me go buy like this thing from like, maybe like the early 1900s. Oh no, she was buying crap from like 1700s, the 1300s, like to put in the chateau, like 13th century tapestries. Like it's like mind blowing, to see all this stuff in the chateau. So it really creates this environment that is not your day to day. And I
no,
think for me that it just kind of put me in this mindset of like I just want to be so present, where I am. And I think every time we sat down and we weren't with like our bigger group, and even then we got to know like our group because I had never met any of these women like, like a week prior, right? Like in person. And you knew all of the women, but sometimes when you're tailgating, you're not sitting down and talking about like deeply personal stuff or,
no,
and it just, I don't know, it enabled us to get to know our group even deeper. But then every time we sat down and we had new people sitting with us, like nobody was shy and it wasn't like, oh, this person's sitting. It was like, hey, where are you from? And just, what did you do today? And it just kind of spawned, some conversation that I don't know, like it just in other kinds of retreats and things that I've been at, like sometimes it just feels like more competitive and you're focusing on like what's wrong with you and how do you fix yourself, and that's not what this was about. So I going back to my original thing, I think it's just again when you find joy in your heart and your soul, and your mind, you personify that and it enables you to connect, with others, on a whole other scale.
yeah. And I would also, just going back to what you said about being present, like it's amazing because I wasn't on my laptop hardly at all. I wasn't on my phone hardly at
Yeah.
all. I was on my phone to take pictures. That
Yes.
was really, and occasionally I texted or called, but like my family knew what I was doing
Yes.
to take the,
Ditto.
so they weren't shocked to not really hear from me, but just like a quick text here and there. Like I wasn't on my phone, I wasn't on my computer, and I
I
felt like,
didn't miss it. I didn't miss it.
I mean, yeah, I think that being present is something that we don't do a lot of or practice a lot these days. And I felt like just that alone kind of created a sense of community because we were all being present at the same moment.
I agree. And it was interesting. So last night when I landed here at the house from my travels yesterday, my son-in-law Matthew was here. He was dropping off his dog with my daughter, because he had some stuff that he had to do for school because he's going to Wharton. So he had some events, and our daughter's still like in France right now. And so he actually, I was telling him about like part of my experience at camp. And I said it was just absolutely, I think, eye opening for me how much I defer using my phone when I'm bored, right? Or like
Yeah.
it's a filler. And he was sharing with me that I think it's one of his professors is actually doing a study on like how people utilize their phones. And it's almost like he equated it to when babies need to be soothed, they use pacifiers. So
Oh,
how often are we when I'm sitting here, I'm amongst a bunch of strangers, and you have the phone, right? And you're like, okay, I'm bored, like I'm sitting here, I'm killing time. So I tell you what, and this is what I shared with him. Camp made me realize, talking about being present, right?
yeah.
So yesterday when I was traveling, I flew through from Bordeaux through Madrid, and I had like almost like a 3 hour layover in Madrid. I was so proud of myself, girl. I went and ordered my lunch, and I got it. I ordered it in Spanish, so I was super super proud of myself. And then I sat. I would have normally have taken the food back to like like the terminal area and just sat and ate quick, and then sat on my phone. I went and sat in the little cafe area at a table, and I faced out to where everybody was walking around. And I just sat without my phone and I was present and I just people watched and I listened to people's interactions with each other and watching people kind of navigate confidently in their travel, or other people are like, oh my God, I don't like, how do I order this? And I don't know, it was something where like something as simple as sitting in a freaking airport for a little while, like it just created a very, very different experience for myself. So that is my one takeaway is, how do I find like what brings me joy? What are those things that I'm not doing enough of that make me happy? Because I might be killing time like at nighttime, like on my phone, where I could get up and maybe go for a walk or go and do a craft. Like one of our friends, Sarah got inspired by all the crafts that we're doing at camp, and she sent us a picture today where she's doing like a mosaic, like work, with I think it was like Tyler glass,
Yeah.
and so I thought that that was really cool. It's like just what like why did we stop doing the things that we love? Because we get kind of into like time ruts or things that eat up our time that maybe don't bring us joy, and I don't know. That to me was like my one big takeaway.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think the relationships, like you said, there are probably lifelong relationships that have been developed, at the camp. And so it was super exciting to see all of that. I think the 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 event that I felt, and I know you and I have talked about this, that really kind of was the cherry on top of the sundae was our night of silent disco.
Yeah,
And
100%.
yeah, it was the second to last night. And this was so much fun. I had never done silent disco. And when they announced it, I was like, oh, and you were like, we're doing this.
Yeah, I was 100% all in because I've watched it go down at Penn State during their thon fundraiser, which is amazing. And it was very weird at the time, but when we got out there, again, it was so cool to watch 50 women, plus or minus a few, out there just boogie woogieing to silent disco in the middle of their courtyard on a beautiful night, like singing at the top of their lungs with absolutely no music being played out loud. I can't. I remember Sarah came in late and all she could do was laugh
She was
at what she
hysterical laughing
did.
because she heard no music, but we were all singing. But we were all singing to because there were three channels
Yeah,
on the headset, and you as the user you can go and flip between the channels. So if somebody had like a good song going on, and they were shown by the color, so it was red, green, or blue. So you
yeah.
could see. So I know like there might have been a group of people listening to the red music, but then like if you were listening to the blue music, then you were like, oh, I'm gonna find my blue people. And like so people were all like intermingling, dancing and stuff, to these varying, songs. And I just like I know you said like at some point in time you were like, I cried like watching this because
Oh,
it was just the
no,
funnest thing imaginable.
no. Like I had it was almost like a spiritual godlike moment out there where I felt like so connected to these women, just
Yes.
singing and dancing, being present in the moment. It was such an amazing experience and just a moment in time, core memory that, it's
Core memory, man. Like that is like out of anything.
I'm tearing up just
I
talking.
know. I
Yeah.
know. I know, like core memory. And the funniest thing was like because we were in the courtyard and afterward, like our feet and our socks.
Oh, I had hobbit feet. My
You had
feet
habits
looked
as
like
pizzas.
little hobbit feet. They were dirty and disgusting, but not very hairy, but dirty, very
Oh
dirty.
my God, they were so dirty. We'll have to post a picture of that on our social media under Mile 20 podcast because I took a picture of your feet afterward and I'm like, those feet, they've seen some dancing tonight.
They did. And I thought about keeping my shoes on, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go barefoot because I want to feel grounded. I want to be right here in this moment on this
I
evening.
did the same thing. I did the same thing, except I kept my socks on because my feet were cold, but I still can't, I still can't
You
get like the
toss those
stains out
socks
of
in.
my poor sock. socks.
You didn't throw those away. I'd have thrown them away.
No, I have to keep them. Those are my dancing socks now, Lori.
That was such a fun night.
It was an absolutely magical night. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank one, Philippa and her best friend and her daughter, the original, inspiration and all the additional women or founders, because not just women who are founders, but all the other founders and the staff, that were there. They totally took care of us. But I especially want to thank the other women, the other campers that were with us,
Yeah.
because I think the trifecta of those, and it's also, I think, Lori, what we brought to camp and what we wanted to get out of it as well. I think that the culmination of all of that just again made it for just such a core memory, and things that I learned about myself during that camp. They're just going to stay with me forever. They're with me on the back nine.
Yes, 100%. I
Yeah.
think that there was a lot internally that everybody took away from that particular week. And yeah, between Philippa and her whole team and everything that they created, yeah, the appreciation runs very, very deep. And it's just I wish we could share this with more people. Like you've got.
Pocket Chateau. I signed up for Pocket Chateau, and I tell you what, the vibes are great there. And it was so awesome because I connected with Megan again on Pocket Chateau. So Megan's on Pocket Chateau, so the other day she was like, "Okay, I'm going on a scavenger hunt today, or I'm doing certain things to for a scavenger hunt." She's like, "What are some of those things that I should include in the scavenger hunt?" So I was like, "Oh, you need to include the cat and the swing on the willow tree and this." So these were like all these like cool things that like they're not included in the activities, but it's like how we navigated the camp, right? And the grounds of the property. And so I got all excited. I was like, "Oh, so yeah, it's just that definitely is one way that if you've been to camp and you want to stay connected with it, or you haven't been to camp yet and you want to experience it virtually, I think they're setting it up really nicely, in terms of, navigating that.
Just to explain a little deeper, Pocket Chateau is an app that you can download onto your phone and create a membership to. And what they're trying to do is create an online space that is just as safe and inclusive as the physical property itself. I have yet to sign up, but now I'm thinking I need to because I know
I
that
love
there's.
it. I love it. And I get a little digest every day. I signed up for like an email notification. So like I have Camp Chateau in my life every day, which is
Aw.
like, I don't know. I just like the other day I was like, I opened up and I was like, "Oh, this is so freaking cool." Like it keeps that in the forefront, right? Of, oh God, look at me. I'm getting all like it keeps it in the forefront, right? Of I need to keep the joy factor forward. I need to keep joy forward. I need to keep myself forward and be present and not let, the just life kind of like,
Everyday
take over
mundane.
take over me. I need to be in control of it. And the best way that I can do that is again, like recognizing like even once a day, just doing something that makes me happy and joyful. And it just, I don't know, it just permeates into the rest of everything that I'm kind of approaching. So, all right. So
Yeah.
question for you,
Yes.
because we do this for every race episode,
Of
would you run that race again? Girl, would you go to camp again?
course.
Ditto.
However, I would like to go to La Abbaye.
The Abbey. Yes. The
Yes.
second location that Philippa mentioned last week.
Yes. I think I'd like to check out the second property, but I would not hesitate to go to the Bedway property also.
I
I would,
totally, I totally agree.
yeah.
In a heartbeat, in a heartbeat. And look, I mean, the wait list is as of, the recording of our interview with Philippa, it was like 11 plus thousand deep.
Yeah.
And, so maybe, people listening to this podcast and hearing our experiences, we just continue to, help promote, just the entire culture, the ecosystem that, has been created. And I think it's not only the staff and Philippa, but it's also us, right?
Yeah.
We help perpetuate that as well. And again, what we all bring into the camp. So I would do camp in a heartbeat again.
My greatest wish is that they can touch enough women that we can permeate that into the world. Like, I feel like there's something in our culture that creates where we as women feel like we have to compete with each other,
I agree.
be nasty to each other. But there is a world. There is a world that exists where we can support each other, love each other, see each other's differences,
Yeah.
and think of that as a positive way of growing, together as opposed to competing with each other. And
Amen, girl.
if that experience can just touch enough women and it does stick its reaches out into the world, what a wonderful world we have in store for us ahead. It's all good things. I said to my husband after I got home, I'm like, I feel like my faith in humanity has been restored.
Yeah. 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 A little tiny morsel at a time, right? Yeah. No, that very, 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 very well said. So what are we talking about next week?
Next week, oh, I'm
Dun
so excited.
dun dun.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Oh, that's
Our
gonna
next
hurt everybody's ears.
episode,
Sorry.
our next episode, we will be touching a little bit on Bordeaux, France, which was wonderful. But our main focus was
Dun, dun, dun.
our bucket list race of the Marathon du Marac in Pauillac, France. And I'm so excited to share this race with everybody because it is an experience unlike
Like
I
no
have ever
other.
had before. I can't even begin to explain it right now, nor do I want to. You need to tune in next
You
week.
need to tune in next episode because man, this one, it was a doozy.
It was a doozy. It was,
And I use the word doozy in both a good, a bad, and a fucking crazy ass way.
yes, yeah, yeah. Like I thought that we've had some crazy marathon experiences that we produced ourselves, but this is a marathon that produces the whole experience that we
It brings
normally
out the
create
crazies,
ourselves.
girl. It
Huh?
brings out the crazies. It makes us look really, really mild.
Oh, we're mild as hell. Yeah,
Mild as all get up, but we'll save that for next week.
we will. Well, we would like to thank you for joining us today. It's been a blast recapping everything from Camp Chateau. Remember to check out our socials. We're everywhere with @Mile20 Podcast. Now go make Mile 20 your bitch.
Peace out.